And so when we have doctors and the CDC and the VA coming at patients saying that you can't have that because it might be addictive, well, sure, it might be addictive, and that might be an issue that I have to face. But at the same time, I'm living. I was able to make it out here today because of the methadone that I take for my chronic pain. I mean, it's hard to explain to my son why people look at me funny and why people leave nasty notes on my car because I don't look disabled. You know, I look like I was the same firefighting EMT that I was before my CRPS. But now, I mean, the way that you're treated, the way that you're looked at, I mean, it's not just by people in the community, it's by doctors. I can't tell you how many doctors don't believe in my CRPS, and they will grab my legs, or they will flick my legs, or they will bump my legs intentionally just to try to get that gotcha moment. And you know, that gotcha moment, every minute of every day of my life. I can't hug my son without feeling pain. I can't, I mean, that's the only option I have. I have nothing else. This is my life and the lives of 40 other million people like me in the United States. And the CDC opiates were founded on biased information, on terrible studies that weren't substantiated, and now Oregon has gone and adopted them as policy. And I mean, if you look and the CDC even released articles saying that they use faulty information and that there aren't enough studies and that we don't know enough about people that take long-term opiates. I mean, you could be on, I've been on opiates for 4 years. I have never once abused my pills. I know thousands of other people. Right now we have 8,500 people in my organization that use their medications responsibly, that depend on those medications, and that need them. And we should have a right to them. And if you take away the medications that are saving my life, what options do I have? I have the option of alcohol. I could go to the street and get illegal drugs and further, you know, make the problem even worse. Or I have suicide. I mean, that's my reality, is I have alcohol, illegal drugs, or suicide to manage my chronic pain because doctors and the CDC and other organizations don't realize what the actual effect on patients is. There are real needs for these medications. We have a right to them. We need your help ensuring we have a right to them. I hope that you guys don't look at these studies that are done on rats and realize that rats aren't humans. I'm not a rat. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a rat. And thousands of Oregonians sitting right here with me, but we're all too sick to get up. And we don't know when meetings are. Nobody keeps us in touch. And you know, you guys are like, well, if they're going to find out about us, they'll find out about us. Well, we find out about you guys when it's too late, when we have no way to fight back, when we have no route. I mean, I got this information maybe a week ago, and I tried pulling every string I could to get chronic pain patients here, but we're all too sick to leave. We can't fight back. We can't fight for our rights. We need our doctors to fight for our rights. Our doctors should be our biggest advocates. And I really hope that you guys realize that there's another side to this that you need to explore. I mean, you can't say we're going to taper off everybody by 2017. Taper them off onto what? What are you going to give them? Honestly, what options are you going to give them when you take away opiates? I want to know. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna tell my son when I drink myself to death? Or what are you gonna tell my child when I have to go to the street to buy whatever, you know, the drug dealers are peddling, and then I overdose on that? You're driving legitimate patients to the streets because we have no other options. Addicts will always find something else to abuse. But chronic pain patients require these medications, and I hope you remember that. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you for your time. So, the evidence base is completely different. We're not, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, this is just back in spine conditions. So that's one thing. But I think it is a fair point that, you know, this is the difficulty with trying to, you know, make sure that we restrict inappropriate use without restricting appropriate use. Right? That's what we're trying to do, is restrict inappropriate use without restricting appropriate use. I think it's, you know, we have to admit that there is a huge problem with inappropriate use out there, right? I mean, opioid overdoses have become a major issue. So there's a lot of issues.
The CDC has been padding numbers, and they will openly admit that heroin overdoses are counted both as opiate overdoses and as heroin overdoses, so they're counted twice. And then in addition to that, they don't differentiate between illegal opiate or overdoses and non-illegal, or
fair
which
enough.
ones are suicides.
Fair enough, but there's, you know, the liberalization of opioids has had both beneficial and harmful effects. And so our job is to try to reduce the harmful effects while maintaining the beneficial effects. And so your point is well taken, that there are a lot of people who really do benefit and are able to function because of these medications. And I think, so we have a group, we have a task force that's going to basically...
So we just deal with a very small portion of things at the state. There's a whole statewide effort, a multi-pronged effort about opioids and how to address it. That's going to deal with multiple state agencies and you know, multiple entities like health plans and different providers and public health clinics, all of those entities. That's a completely separate process that's going on now.
So how do we get involved in that?
I'm not sure they put the statewide number.
They are public.
That's great that they're public, but how do you find out about them? I mean, it's just, it's hit and miss trying to find out information about you guys. I mean, so how do you expect chronic pain patients, or patients in general, to know what's going on when nothing is out there?
It's hard. I mean, we can't, you know, we don't have ad space on TV to say,
That's right.
you know, we're meeting here and
But
you know,
at the same time, then you're taking information from books, so you're not actually dealing with patients. You're looking at studies. You're not dealing with patients, and you forget it. I mean, just sitting here.
Some of us are dealing with
Yeah.
addicts, so.
Yeah, I know. And so it's hard. I mean, the CDC guidelines, about half the people on the board for the CDC guidelines were from COP, which is an addiction recovery service. You know, it's the Physicians for Responsible Opioid Prescribing. And it's all, you know, addiction recovery that has made these new, they don't look at it from our point of view. They don't hear it from our point of view. They don't know.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, I do not know where, you know, the guideline committee is not our committee, so,
Awesome.
So we don't, you know, I don't know when they meet or who's running. Is it
Public Health, Katrina Hepburn.
okay. So
They do have a website. It's publichealth.org and .gov. Prevention Wellness is where I found it.
Awesome. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, even with back pain, please take the time and talk to the patients. Go out and deal with people that have 17, 18 failed back surgeries, that have rods and hips and screws in their body. I mean, it's brutal. And
So many of us know, many of us are practicing primary care physicians, so many of us deal with this on a day-to-day basis. So we are aware, we do take patient, that's why we're here,
Right.
is that we have patient care experience and we take into account the actual
Can I
issues
ask,
of patients.
how many people here are pain specialists?
In this room,
In this room. All right.
right, but we're not, we
But you're dealing with the chronic pain, the back pain.
we deal with like 100 different
We're the
topics. so
oversight
when the
committee,
oversight-
there's a task
I'm
force.
There's a special
and-
group that's
and then
managing the.
I see, I think they're
And this
getting.
guideline, the guideline that we were discussing, the one with about back pain, was developed with the task force that included pain specialists, psychiatrists, psychologists, physiatrists, back surgeons. It was a whole range of people who deal with backs and are experts in that area, and it did include pain specialists.
What was the name of that, can I ask? The task force?
It was like a back, I can't remember our official name for it, it was a back pain, backline reorganization task force, something like that.
But that group's work is complete.
Yeah.
Oh,
This group's work
okay.
is not.
But this is the work, this up here is the website, that's the information you're going to.
So this is the current statewide guidelines. This is, it's through public health, which is a different part of the state. And they are currently working.
Adopting on the CDC guidelines. That's exactly what they do.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you for coming. Appreciate your